Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back. Droid Life Show today, episode 177. It is Friday, June 29th. I'm Kellen. With me is Tim. Tim, say hi.
Hey, guys. How's it going? Tim here.
So thanks for joining us on this fabulous Friday. We had last week off, but we got tons of stuff to talk about this week, including like Note 9 dates and Pixel 3 renders. Motorola has an announcement coming up. There's actually quite a bit of stuff going on. And OnePlus gave us like an update schedule, which is something few people do these days. But we also have trivia, which is back again. And sponsor for this week, we should actually see on screen in the corner there. Actually, there's a Droid Life logo over it on YouTube. We'll have to fix that for the next show. Meter. If you guys don't know who Meter is, they make it's a smart meat thermometer. So Tim's, I know this might sound kind of random to you guys, but Tim's actually reviewed this thing. And it's like, do you want to explain? It's like a Bluetooth meat thermometer with the smartphone app and all of this stuff, right?
It's probably one of the greatest inventions ever, especially for me. Like, I'm not a professional meat barbecuer, griller, or anything like that, but with this thing I am now a champion and everyone wants to come to my house. I can cook you the fattest tomahawk ribeyes and all that good stuff. So we actually discovered these guys at CES this past year, and
We did.
I was like, yo man, I gotta check this thing out. So they sent me one out. I reviewed it and it's really great. So it's Bluetooth powered. Got it here right here. Bluetooth powered. You stick it into the meat, throw it on the grill, and then on your phone you can see the exact temperature, an ambient temperature. So it's really great for those barbecues or grilling on the stove, whatever you're doing. It's a great product. Usually costs $69, but we have 5 of them to give away today to our trivia prize winners.
So at the end of the show, we will have trivia once again. And for those who aren't familiar, we do 5 questions. We'll talk more about it at the end, but we do trivia at the end of most shows these days. And yeah, Meter was kind enough to give us 5. So everyone gets one. So if you're a griller, if you cook, whatever, it's actually a pretty sweet price. So let's dive into topics, though. So the first one is Galaxy Note 9. We have an official date, August 9th. Samsung announced an event. They showed an S Pen. I mean, now Note 9 on the 9th, it kind of makes sense. This was a rumored date, so it's not that surprising, but they made it official. They sent out invites. We'll be there to cover the event. The Note 9 also went through the FCC this week. It didn't really reveal much, but it's there. So that actually happened before they announced the event. So I don't really know what else to say about it. We've seen CAD renders of this thing, so we kind of know what it looks like. Like, it has a fingerprint reader on the back. There's not one embedded in the display or something like that, like we keep hearing. We think the battery size might be huge. It's going to be a Note, and it'll have a pen. The pen in the picture that they showed is like this weird, I call it urine gold, but it's like a yellowish gold. I don't know what they'll call it. They always call it, like, it's always like midnight black, lilac purple, right? So urine gold. I don't know if that means it's just going to have a miscolored pen. Like, do you think we're going to get a black Note 9 and then the color of the pen will be different or something? Is that how they're going to like differentiate? I don't really get it.
I really want to see some like flamboyant colors, like something bright and shiny. Like,
Do you
that's
just
what I
think we'll
want.
get
So
like this color, like a yellow Note?
that'd be cool.
It'd be kind of
I'm
cool,
down.
actually.
Give me a red one. Give me a bright green, like something different than these off purples and the blacks and the blues, whatever. I'm bored.
Yeah, I'd be down for that too. So we don't really know anything. I mean, like, we can, guess on specs and things like that, but all we know for sure is that August 9th, it's in New York, right? Yeah, in New York, Note 9 will be unveiled. They could show off a new Galaxy Tab. The Tab S4 also stopped through the FCC this week, and the Tab S line has always kind of been their higher end tablet line, so that could show up there. There was something else I thought that might show up there that had been rumored recently, and now I can't. Oh, a new watch. Don't we think they might show off like a new watch or something like that? So yeah, it should be a fun little event. Like I said, we'll be there to cover whatever shows up there. Have you started to get any more excited about the Note 9 since those renders dropped?
I mean, if we get some cool colors, I'll be excited again. But
It's just if we get cool colors.
Yeah, like if it just looks like another Note 8, right, with a few changes in specs, I mean, it's kind of hard to be super excited because we know exactly what that phone's about, and it's an S Pen, whoop-de-doo. I don't know. I mean, give me some cool colors and we'll talk.
We know what the experience is going to be. Yeah, we know what the software's going to be like. Yeah.
Exactly.
I guess we'll see. Maybe there'll be something new that we just aren't expecting. Probably.
I doubt it.
Probably not. Maybe we'll be excited when we get there. All right. Motorola, though, did announce this week that they are hosting an event, or at least they have something to announce in Chicago at their headquarters on August 2nd. So a week before Samsung does their thing, Motorola has an announcement. They didn't say like it's the next Z phone or anything like that. I think I'm kind of assuming it's the Moto Z3. Like we already have the Z3 Play, which is right here, which I'll talk about in just a little bit. But we don't have the flagship version, the Z3. So I think that's what it'll be. In their teaser, they said, mark your calendar, August 2nd, we're making a big announcement at Motorola's HQ. Say hello to a whole new way to connect, stream, download, video chat, and more. And then when they reached out to us, they also said that this device will change the way people will use and interact with their phones. So maybe it's not a phone?
Could be just a mod or something.
Well, so that's kind of what I'm thinking, right? Does that mean they have a new lineup of Moto mods, or is it just a special Moto mod? I don't really know where they're going with that. It's kind of mysterious, which makes it a little more fun.
I'm sure it'll be leaked.
Any minute now. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we have until August 2nd for that. So yeah, this stuff will leak within a week or two, and we're going to be bored by the time August 2nd rolls around.
Probably. It is just weird that they never refer to it as a phone in any of the teasers. They just say they have something big. And then specifically in the email they wrote to us, they said, change the way people will use and interact with their phones. So is it the 5G Moto mod? But I can't imagine they would host an entire event just to have a 5G Moto mod. Because a 5G Moto mod, right, that changes. That's supposed to change everything, right, 5G? Maybe it's the 5G Moto mod. That's the only thing I can really think. But there's got to be a phone along with it. You wouldn't host an entire event for a 5G Moto mod.
Yeah, I could certainly see it being 5G related maybe. But, I mean, a Moto mod for sure. My money is on a Moto mod.
Yeah. Either way, August 2nd.
Motorola pushing mods still.
Yeah, seriously. Because I think like a few weeks ago or a month or so ago, didn't somebody say that Moto mods were basically dead and they were going to stop investing in them or something like that?
Who said that?
I think Android Police did. I think they had a report that said like they were halting like, I swear somebody wrote that they were basically like they were ditching, remember there was supposed to be a keyboard mod that never came out. Like they were going to stop making a bunch. So who knows?
It wouldn't surprise me either. Except every time that I've talked to a Moto Z owner, they always say they did it because of the mods. But I don't know how many of those Moto Z owners there are actually in the wild. So mods are like the selling point, I think, for that lineup of devices. Yeah,
I mean, I hope they come up with something new. Although at this point, I don't know what else they'll do. I guess they can surprise us with a 5G mod.
Yeah.
All right. So, Moto Z3 Play. I mentioned that. So Moto Z3 Play, I've had this guy in-house for about a week now, I think. I unboxed it over the weekend. So I've had the Moto Z3 Play in-house. As I mentioned in my unboxing, this is just kind of one of those like special lines of phones that I always like. Even though it's not flagship, it's totally a mid-range line of phones. But it was the first phone that we ever did a video review for, was the original Moto Z Play. And then I also just happened to like that phone a lot because it had like, I think it was actually almost 2-day battery life. And I'm not even exaggerating. I just remember it was the king of battery life. And then when the Z2 Play came out, I remember how disappointed I was because they like reduced the battery and it wasn't quite as good. So anyway, the Z Play, it's just been one of those cool lines because it has Moto mod stuff, but it has like the clean Android and you can see the Moto display stuff. But it's always had really good battery life. And so I've played with this one for a week now, and it has like a fingerprint reader on the side, which I think is really cool. It has mostly an all display front. Let me just wake this bad boy up. So no fingerprint reader on the bottom. For Motorola, this is about as all display as it gets. Battery life wasn't excellent the first few days, but then last night I went to bed and barely remembered to take a screenshot of battery, and I was at like 43%, and I had like 4 hours and some screen on time, which is kind of nuts. So it's like it's gotten better. The first few days it was like 3 hours, and I was like, I probably need a charger. Last night it was over 4 hours of screen on time, and I had 40% battery life. So that's pretty good. The camera seems fine for a mid-range phone. Like I didn't expect it to be great. The performance is okay. I think it runs a Snapdragon 636. I expected the performance to be a little bit better. Maybe it's just Twitter sucks, but Twitter is kind of janky when it scrolls. There's just some other things that are a little wonky that I can't tell if it's this phone or just some of the apps I'm using. I went with the on-screen home swipe gestures instead of the normal navigation layout, because I kind of wanted to get that Android P almost experience. You can't swipe up like you can Android P. This is obviously Motorola's swipe back and forth, but so far I like the phone. It's $450 if you buy it at Amazon. There's like the Prime exclusive one, and that's what this actually is the Prime exclusive one. And it's probably the one you should buy. Like, save the $50, even though there's some Amazon stuff preloaded. Like, who cares, right? You're probably going to use some of that stuff anyway. If you buy it directly from Motorola, it's $500. It does work on all carriers. I've been running it on Verizon the whole time. I haven't really used any Moto mods with it, which is... I just like, there aren't any Moto mods that like really do that I really need. Like I have the Bluetooth, or not the Bluetooth, the speaker, this JBL speaker, but I have speakers all over my house and I'm at home all the time. So I just haven't used it.
They don't fit your lifestyle. That's totally
They just
fine.
really don't. And like the camera one, that Hasselblad one, we've talked about how crappy that is, so I won't use that. The Pico projector one sounds kind of cool, but isn't it like 360p or something? It's like terrible resolution. So none of the Moto mods really do much for me. It comes with a battery mod in the box too, by the way, which I have used. I don't know what to say. It's pretty slick looking. I mean, yeah, it's all glass, but there's no pattern on the back. It's just like a shiny blue glass. Oh, nice phone. Moto Z3 Play. I'll probably have a review up for it next week, but so far so good. So if the Z3 is anything like this, that's a good sign. And I think more phones should have this side fingerprint reader.
Yeah, you really like that thing.
Apparently. I really do, actually. I really do. It's not the fastest fingerprint reader. Like, it'd be nice if OnePlus did it, because they do really fast fingerprint readers. But either way. All right, so let's talk Pixel 3 for a second, shall we?
Oh, yeah.
Pixel 3, Pixel 3 XL. So On Leaks teamed up with My Smart Price, I think the site's called. And we have CAD renders of the Pixel 3 and Pixel 3 XL now. So if you guys don't know what that means, essentially case makers, we always assume, get the schematics basically of upcoming phones, so they can make cases and have them ready at launch basically. And so then people take those and create 3D CAD renders that are recreations of the device. So the cameras are in the right spots, the buttons are in the right spots, speaker ports, all that stuff's in the right spot. It has to be, because these people are making cases. So when that happens, people take those renders and then leak them elsewhere, and On Leak seems to be one of the ones that always does that. So they've reproduced these 3D renders on video and in imagery that shows what the Pixel 2 XL, or I'm sorry, 3 XL and Pixel 3 will look like. They look like that prototype phone that leaked a few weeks ago over at XDA. And then people have obviously recreated renders from that, but they look kind of exactly like what we thought from that prototype. I'm still fine with these. Are you still fine with these? Because we know a lot of people are really still super mad. Like, people haven't warmed up. I keep thinking people warm up the more they see these. People aren't warming up. To the Pixel 3 XL anyway. Right.
I think it's hot.
Like, I think it's hot too.
Call me crazy, but I kind of dig the notch. I appreciate that it appears that there's going to be 2 front-facing cameras. Hopefully some good facial recog 3D mapping tech. Super, what was that movie with Tom Cruise? Was that Minority Report?
Yeah.
That movie rocked.
Fantastic movie, yeah.
Fantastic movie. Anyway, as for the phone, I mean, they look a lot like Pixel 2 and Pixel 2 XL. You just have a notch display on the 3 XL, and the Pixel 3 looks like a Pixel 2 XL. So I think people should be happy. And if you don't like the notch, by all means, don't get the Pixel, with the notch. Get the Pixel 3. That looks like a fantastic phone. It looks like it's going to have the dual front-facing cameras, too. Yeah. It's got the slick curved display going on, around the display up at the all the corners. It looks these phones look good. Front-facing speakers. There should be no complaints coming from anybody right now. Unless you're offended that the notch is there.
I think I'm surprised how offended people are at the notch. And again, we've talked about this way too much on the show, but the notch thing was annoying because it was a copy. It seemed like a copy of Apple. It seemed like everyone was copying Apple. but it's never really been that offensive to look at, right? I mean, we've talked about this. As much as I've railed against people copying Apple, like I've talked about how the iPhone 10 doesn't like offend me in terms of how it looks. And so I guess I don't know. And then the other point is that we've made 1,000,000 times too, is this is just what we're getting in 2018. Like this is just, so I know then if you don't like it, you just maybe skip this year, but is this really a deal breaker? Like, you know, everything else about the phone is going to be good. It's Google's phone. So you're going to let like this little design tweak where we're in this kind of crappy stage of getting to all display fronts. You're going to let that take away from the fact that you might be passing on the best phone of the year?
I think that people were, at least I was really upset that people were sure kind of copying Apple or Essential or whoever, what came first, the chicken or the egg? Doesn't really matter. Chicken is delicious. So you were getting these phones with notches and they weren't really doing anything like the iPhone 10 was doing in terms of facial recognition with freaking laser beams shooting out and all that. So I was a little pissed that we were still getting the same kind of antiquated Android unlocking tech and getting notches while iPhone 10 was getting sweet facial recognition and notches. But now if we're going to have dual front facing cameras with some type of facial 3D mapping, at least that's something to go along with that notch. So this doesn't offend me nearly as much as say the G7 notch offended me, or the OnePlus 6 notch kind of offend, and by offending I say, was this really necessary? I don't know. Like I could have been fine with a top little forehead there, or something, there's just sometimes companies do these things and I don't know if they think them out maybe 100% or whatever, but this looks fine to me because we're going to get something for that notch. And even if you don't want the notch, but probably still want that tech that Google's going to introduce, get the smaller one, get the Pixel 3, because it looks like it's got the same thing. So I think this is a good year for Pixel lovers. Good year for me.
Yeah, because last year the Pixel 2 was not what we wanted. The Pixel 3 XL or 2 XL was, but it kind of had some quirky design. This looks like we've matured still. The other thing too is they posted the dimensions for these phones and they're almost exactly the same size as the 2 and 2 XL. So if you own a 2 XL, you know what the size of the 3 XL is going to be. You just get more display. And yes, you do get the ugly notch. But if you buy the Pixel 2, the smaller guy, it's the same size as the Pixel 2, but the Pixel 3 now has a bigger display because they got rid of some bezel. So you're probably going to have like a 5.5-inch display, 5.3, 5. Which is still a decent sized display, except you don't have the giant. Well, you still have some top and bottom bezel, but not like last year. So you get a bigger display in that same size small package. So if you don't like the notch, you can get the regular Pixel 3 and you still have a fairly decent sized bigger phone. It'll be easier to handle with the same exact specs and all of that stuff without the notch. So you have better choices this year than last year. Like last year, people passed on the Pixel 2 because look, the bezels were giant, right? Top and bottom bezels were giant. People passed on it. This year, you don't have to pass on that. You can go with the smaller one if you hate notch. So I think like the choices look like they're going to be better this year. You have to come around to just being like, look, this notch sucks. This is what we're getting this year. If I'm going to buy a phone this year, I hate to say it, but you just kind of have to deal with it.
If you're going to buy a phone this year, because all this stuff will probably be gone. Like 2019 is probably not the year of notches, I feel like.
I guess I don't know. So, the next phone we're going to talk about, the Oppo Find X, is one of those phones that's trying to get us away from notches as quickly as possible. So maybe we'll get to 2019 and people will start ditching it. I don't really think so though, because I think it's going to take a while. And I don't think the compromises you have to make, like what we're going to talk about with Oppo, like I don't know if companies are going to want to do that. And should we just talk about the Oppo Find X now? We'll just merge right into that.
Yeah, sure. Oppo Find X.
So the Oppo Find X, not to completely just run away from Pixel 3, we'll kind of circle back there. But so the Oppo Find X is this phone that Oppo announced a week ago. initial media reports said it was coming to the US. We now know that's not coming to the US, but it'll come to North America, which probably just means Canada. Either way, the Oppo Find X is a almost bezel-less phone on the front. The bottom, there's like this slight little chin. It's not that big, and if you're offended by it, just get over yourself. It's almost completely bezel-less, and so there's nothing up top, including no front camera. And so what they're doing is kind of like Vivo did with that Next phone. They have this slide-up mechanism. But doesn't the slide-up mechanism also house the rear cameras? It does, right?
I think so.
So it's front and back. It's almost about as clean as it gets. And is there no fingerprint reader either? So like the back is like 100% clean. Front's clean. And then when you want to take a picture, it slides. Like the whole thing like slides up. It's not just a little pop-up camera. Like the whole back like slides up and then reveals cameras. It's pretty slick. At the same time, we've talked about how, more hardware components moving is usually never a good thing. You're just asking for things to break. But they are getting around having a notch. Like there's no notch on this phone. It's as clean as it gets. And they didn't, leave a chin at the bottom to put a front facing camera like Xiaomi's doing. So, it's like $1,000. It's not cheap, but it's got a Snapdragon 845 and 8 GB RAM and lots of storage and all of that. So, I mean, this is like as flagship as it gets. So what do you like? What do you? I don't know if we've ever had these general thoughts about what do you think about like moving parts and these workarounds to get to that bezel free. Like, I think at some point, aren't you going to have to do this? Like you can't have a completely bezel free phone if there's a front facing camera. Like you have to have room for that, right?
Yeah, I actually think the Find X is pretty cool looking, and I
cool
like.
Too.
Yeah, I like the solution that they came up with. I know, I get that argument that more things for it to break, but I don't know. Our phones are already so fragile. Like, what's
true.
Not only that, like maybe it's engineered probably to go up and down. Let's say like 50,000 times or 100,000 times. Things are always designed to go so many times before they break, and people are updating their phones or upgrading their phones, every year, 2 years. So I don't know, like as long as it lasts, a year or two, then you upgrade. It's whatever. If it breaks, it'll be under warranty, I assume, of some kind. It's not coming to the US, so I don't know if us have to worry about it, but anyone else who plans on picking one up, it's something to think about, but I wouldn't be too concerned. I would just assume that no, it'll just work and it won't break. If it does break, you have to realize that technology breaks, or sometimes you get a lemon and you'll have to get a replacement. And there's a lot of factors, but I like it. That's my point. I like it, and I wish it was coming to the US. We initially thought it was coming to the US for like $1,000, and I was like, oh yeah, now this is like some different stuff. Now we're talking, and then. Come to find out it's not coming to the US even. Yeah. So that was a little frustrating, but
we could still probably try to import one or something, but
oh, sure. Yeah. But I mean,
I think what I like about Oppo and Vivo. So Oppo and Vivo, I don't know if we've said this before, but they're owned by the same company that makes OnePlus phones. They're all just this giant corporation in China that just has like 4 or 5 different brands. So Oppo, Vivo, OnePlus, all owned by the same company. Just keep that in mind. But so Vivo and Oppo seem to now be companies that are trying to push the envelope a little bit. And so I like the fact that they're taking some weird risks. And look, they're getting their name everywhere for one. I mean, people are constantly talking about Vivo and Oppo at the moment. I'm kind of cool with this, but I'm also not a normal consumer. Like I use a new phone every other month, just about, right? So if I get a phone that has an extra moving part and it breaks, like I probably have another phone that I'm going to use. So I don't really count, but this is kind of exciting. And to see it in action, like some of the demo videos, it's instant. Like you open the camera and like this little thing just goes, like it just looks cool. And then you put the camera away and it just goes, it's just kind of futuristic, fun. It's different. It's taking a risk. It certainly gets us away from the notch that everyone's complaining about. It's very cool. But yeah,
it reminds me of that phone that I think Motorola may have made for the Matrix movies way back in the day. That kind of it just slides up to show the T9 keyboard.
Was
or
that
whatever.
a Motorola phone? Yeah.
I don't know. I think it was. It looked awesome. It was in the movie, right? And they did a big marketing thing for it. But
that's right.
It reminds me of that, and yeah, like you said, it's just sort of futuristic looking. It's kind of like a statement, right? Like, I mean, there's no other phone that really kind of does that mechanically and just kind of pushes itself up. Like, that's sweet. Like, you'd usually have to kind of force something. So,
Right.
I don't know. I think it's pretty cool. I wish it was coming here again. I'm a little mad at the people who said that it was coming to the U.S. and then decided to change that information and then be super sneaky about it. So, yeah, it is what it is.
It's I just think it looks really nice too. I mean, yeah, it's all glass and all that, which I'm not a huge fan of all glass, but it just looks fancy. Like, it just looks like something we've never seen before, which is exciting because we just don't get that very often.
It looks like this phone, honestly, the Galaxy 9 or 9 Plus, and
without anything on the back though, which is kind of crazy.
I know, it is kind of crazy.
It's like it's concealing some extra toys, which is you just wouldn't expect from a phone.
Right, and like you said, Vivo and Oppo, these guys are kind of innovating where other Android OEMs are. Vivo gave us that in-display fingerprint reader that we saw at CES, which was totally awesome. The Synaptics Clear ID. That was awesome. Oppo's got this going on. There's cool stuff happening here. I feel like we're like in this, like in the US, we're so restricted in terms of what we can buy, where people over in South Korea and China and Europe, they kind of get more access to this kind of different innovative stuff. And so I'm a little jealous, but that's okay.
Yeah, I feel like they're all taking risks while everyone in the U.S. is playing it safe. Everyone in the U.S. is just like, well, we're just going to do this notch thing because that's just what we do. We're not going to do anything crazy. Like, these guys are taking a damn chance.
Take a chance, man. Sooner or later, it'll pay off. Apple takes chances all the time. They get rid of headphone jacks.
Those are weird chances, though, like getting rid of headphone jacks. Changing their proprietary ports all the time. Yeah.
Every year.
Not of the iPhone 10 though. People, for some reason, I think it's probably just because of the damn price. Like, Apple, I think, found the spot where people were like, the notch is kind of weird. And I don't know if I really want to spend that much.
Yeah.
So anyway, so kind of coming back to the Pixel 3, if you don't want a notch, and we were talking about next year, is it going to change? I don't know, because I think, like I said, if you want a front-facing camera on a phone and you need some of those sensors and stuff, unless you can find a way to build them under the display, but even then you're probably going to have some sort of notch. So I don't know how you get around. Everyone keeps saying like we're working towards all display fronts. Well, you have to have room for those. I don't think we can get truly all display unless you do what Oppo just did. So I think you're either going to have notches for the foreseeable future and maybe they'll just keep shrinking down, right? Or you got to do something crazy like Oppo and Vivo are doing. So I guess people need to decide, do you want a notch? Or maybe people just are fine with some extra bezel up top, like Samsung does. Or like Samsung's phones are mostly all display. They just have a little top and bottom bezel. Like, would you rather have that or would you rather have the notch?
Personally, I'd probably have what Essential did, which was just like a little camera notch. Yeah, a little nothing. And
there's still about the best implementation. Yeah,
it looks sexy. Like, that's just the sexiest phone ever. Like, Essential killed it. And RIP.
And they're gonna go out of business or whatever the hell they're doing.
Yeah, really frustrating.
Yeah. All right. So speaking of OnePlus, So speaking of OnePlus, they were in the news for two reasons this week, basically on the same day. One, they announced an update schedule for how they're going to update their phones going forward, which is actually good news for everyone. And then the other thing they said is we're still working towards a US carrier, and it'll be a 5G phone when we do that. Did they say it could be next year? Or were they just saying, like, we'll be one of the first is kind of what they were saying, I think.
When 5G is, like, totally rolling out in the US, they'll be one of the first
to support it.
Makers of one.
Yeah, because I'm sure they're working with Qualcomm, which I think we maybe already knew.
Which they are, yes.
Yeah. So, well, let's talk about that first. So OnePlus said, this is the second time I think they've said, so they were at MWC Shanghai and they said that, look, we're coming to a carrier. They didn't say who. They didn't say if it was AT&T or T-Mobile or Verizon. I would assume it's not going to be Verizon since none of their phones have ever worked on Verizon. But they are trying to get with a carrier. Where it was newsworthy is the fact that they said, like, we're not going to allow bloatware. Like, it'll be a bloatware-free experience. I don't know that I actually believe that will happen. I guess it depends on who they sell it through. If they go through T-Mobile, that could totally happen. There might be like the My T-Mobile app or whatever it's called. If they go through AT&T, I don't think there's any way in hell AT&T lets them sell a phone without a ton of AT&T. I mean, Samsung, it's filled up. LG, it's filled up. The only one that's not is Apple. Everybody else has 8,000 AT&T. And AT&T is like the worst. I think they're worse than Verizon at this point in terms of their bloatware. And then Verizon, I just don't think they'll go there because they've never supported Verizon. I don't know why they would do that now. So I would assume if they have a carrier, it's going to be T-Mobile. Wouldn't you assume that too? I feel like T-Mobile's Dez. I feel like he's played with OnePlus phones often too. Like, and obviously they work on their network, but I think that makes sense. Like Uncarrier, they do some different things. OnePlus, if they're looking, they kind of seem like that might be a good match.
I can totally see it, and that's at least in my mind would be the most probable destination for OnePlus. If Sprint is not going to be around, oddly enough, I could see Sprint doing it. Like, you know, say that deal fell through or something. I could see that just because Sprint does these weird exclusives, which is weird. It's weird, but yeah, T-Mobile probably. And I'd be fine with that.
Yeah, and like I said, T-Mobile, if they want to go bloatware free, that would probably be exactly where they would have to do it.
Yeah.
As far as yeah, they do have some bloat here and there, but I think it's much less, and I think they could get away with it there. In terms of the 5G stuff, like, look, when 5G is ready and people are ready to make 5G phones, I think everyone that comes out with whatever Qualcomm's next chipset is and modem is going to have that. So I know that they're like, yeah, we're going to be one of the first. Well, yeah, but so is LG.
You and everybody
so
else.
is Samsung. Samsung will probably be before anyone, is my guess. But so that's cool, OnePlus. But yeah, everyone. What I think is probably bigger news is their update schedule stuff. So in the past, OnePlus hasn't always been the best at updating phones. They've gotten better though. So the OnePlus 2 is probably where they hit rock bottom. They were doing some updates, and then they decided they just didn't really want to update that phone anymore. And I don't think it ever even got Nougat, which was not good. Like, it was supposed to get Nougat. They just bailed on it. They just said, like, look, we're done with this phone. It's terrible. No one bought it. We're just going to move on from it. That was the NFC-less phone, for those who don't remember the OnePlus 2. Since then, though, with the 3, 3T, 5, 5T, and 6, they've actually gotten better. They've opened up beta programs. They let you test software early. They've pushed more security updates a little more regularly. And then the big updates they've pushed actually fairly quickly. I think the 3 and 3T got Oreo, I think at the end of 2017, which isn't super fast, but it's faster than most guys are doing it. Anyways, what they announced this week is that going all the way back to the 3, their phones will now get 2 years of regular software updates and then a third year of security updates. So the first 2 years are new features, new Android versions, security patches. And then once those first 2 years are up, you just get security patches, which is kind of about what Google's doing, right? Aren't they doing two and an extra one?
Correct.
And I think Essential announced the same thing. So that's fine. The only difference between these and Essential and Google is these are bi-monthly. So they've committed right now to bi-monthly updates. Every 2 months you should get an update, and that could be, you know, bug fixes, features, new features, obviously new Android versions of those come out, and then security patches. And then that last year is also bi-monthly. So with the OnePlus 3 and 3T, they said they're getting feature updates until November. And then they'll get one more year of security updates, which I think that's right. I think 2018 will be 2 years for the OnePlus 3. Yeah, I think right. So. Is that right? Maybe. So
I'm always in the lab. Take a look.
Yeah. So
check the math. That's
good news that they're trying to get on a schedule and sticking with it. We've seen companies do this in the past, like HTC. How many times did HTC say we're gonna do these? What was the one? I think it was like that iPhone clone, I think, that cheap, what was it called? The A10, A11. What was that phone called?
Oh man, that's a good question.
HTC I want to say it was like the A10, but that doesn't sound right either. Either way, didn't they say we're going to push out an update within 15 days of Google doing it? The 1A9, that's what it is.
Oh, the 1A9. God,
yeah.
damn it. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you, Eric, in the chat. So the 1A9, I'm pretty sure they said we're gonna push updates to this phone within 15 days of Google pushing them. And, excuse me. So we looked. Remember, you and I started keeping track. Like a month in, 2 months in, we started keeping track, and they failed almost immediately. And no one bought that phone. It was kind of a mid-range-ish phone that they randomly sold out of nowhere. But they couldn't even keep up with it for like 3 months, and then they just bailed. And then that phone, they just stopped updating, and they just assumed no one was going to pay attention or care. So OnePlus, that's great that you guys want to stick to this. I just hope they do, for everyone's sake. And again, they've gotten better. So
I hate it when companies do that. They say, "Oh yeah, we're going to update your phone super quick." And then no.
Yeah, I just don't. Well, we're going to talk about LG and the V40 in a second. LG, right before the G7 launch, said, we have this new software upgrade center, and it's going to be awesome. And I don't know that the G7's even seen an update since they did that. I'm going to look that up real quick.
Didn't need one. It's the perfect device.
The perfect device. When did they announce that?
No updates necessary.
God, it's so embarrassing, too. I wrote, LG's taking software updates seriously now. It was such a lie. I know every time I do something, the companies do the opposite. So the purpose is to deliver faster, timelier smartphone operating system and software updates worldwide. I honestly do not think the G7 has had an update, but
I haven't heard of
could
one.
catch me on that. So, so I don't know that LG's sticking to that already. So they didn't even make it 2 months, 3 months.
Is there an update for them? I guess just the monthly security patches? I mean,
I don't know. I should ping LG and see if they've already abandoned that or not. Not good, though. I mean, that was like part of the announcement.
Have you abandoned the G7?
All right. So anyways, in terms of LG, the V40 rumor this week from Android Police said that the V40 it'll have 5 cameras.
Woo!
3 on the back, 2 on the front. We don't really know what, though, right? Like the breakdown of what those 3 on the back will be.
Well, they believe they know for sure that what 2 of the 3 will be. You got the standard wide lens and then an ultra wide lens.
So we have now, right?
Yes,
like
exactly. Like the same dual setup we've had, except we don't know what the third will be. You and me speculated it could be like something with a super zoom, or it could have a crazy high megapixel count, like on the Huawei P20 Pro that had a 40 megapixel sensor. Yeah. So it really could be. It could be monochrome. They could go the Huawei route or the different Huawei route. We just don't know, but I'm excited about it.
And the 2 on the front could be. I think, I don't have one sitting here. Does the V30 have 2 cameras on the front? Or just 1?
Nope, just 1.
Okay, just 1. I think maybe was it the V10 that had 2? I swear one of the V phones had 2, and then they moved 2 to the back and then got rid of 1 on the front or something. I can't remember.
Maybe the V20? I don't know.
Here's the V20.
I was not a V fan until the V30.
I know you weren't. One of them, I think, had 2. There it goes. Yeah, George says the V10 has. So
it has.
So the only, maybe he has a V10. Oh. So if you put 3 cameras on the back, I don't necessarily have an issue with that. If you do it like Huawei did, like the P20 Pro, it doesn't look that weird. Like you have obviously that phone kind of has an iPhone 10-ish style on the back where it's got the top left placed vertical camera alignment. It has like the dual sensor, and then they had to put like the random third 40 megapixel sensor. It looks a little weird, but I feel like they did it pretty well. I don't know that I trust LG to do a nice looking 3 camera sensor.
You don't like the robot O face? Like, oh.
Yeah, I mean, that's what we're talking about, the robot O. Now it'll be a 3-eyed robot O face. Or do they go triangle and put one below the...
I go triangle. I would go triangle.
Then it would really be a nice looking face. So I don't know. But the P20 Pro has one of the most ridiculous camera setups ever. And people who tested it really, really loved it and thought it took some amazing photos. And some of the samples and stuff I've seen were great too.
Sorry. People smack talking in the chat.
I know, I see that. Robert's like, Kellen, why do you have this? What do you mean?
I don't know. Apparently, you look like you haven't had a movement.
Do I really look like that?
No, I think you look
Maybe it's
fine.
just-
Totally normal.
Because I've never had anyone say that. It looks like I need to go take a dump.
It's pretty funny.
Thanks, though.
Nice. Maybe he's a doctor. Maybe he's looking out for you. It's like, dude, are you doing okay? You've not had a movement. Anyway.
I don't really know what to say to that. So yeah, if LG does it, that's fine. I still don't know that the fifth camera is going to help them sell some new phones, but
yeah,
good for
it
them.
won't.
I don't really think so. Not until they do something drastic with that software and something else.
Right. Someone actually mentioned that maybe they could combine data from the front-facing camera and a rear-facing camera, make a 3D kind of camera going. Like that would be sweet. And we know LG takes their video taking very seriously with all the software they throw in there. Not only that, but the Huawei P20 Pro is supposed to have an amazing set of cameras, like take some really good shots. So if LG can kind of simulate that or recreate and offer that here in more accessibly on US carriers with the V40, that would be totally dope, because we obviously know the P20 Pro is not available on carriers in America.
Yeah.
Thank you. So yeah. Eric Ortiz in the chat says, "Thin Q to the rescue." I like it because it rhymes. Very nice.
It does rhyme. One of my favorite things is people still using thin Q as if it's the word think. Like I still see people use it as it's thinking. LG
it's
still
not think,
doesn't.
people.
LG still doesn't seem to understand why we think that it should be pronounced think, not thank you. It's one of the weirdest things of our time, actually.
It could be. Yeah, this is like homelessness in America or disease around the world. Like, no, let's think about thin Q versus think and why LG decided to do that. It's a pressing issue.
Ben in the chat says, "I'd be happy with one great camera, one zoom lens, one wide angle." I guess I look at it as, look at what Google's doing with one camera. LG is about to go 3-5 deep. LG's got one camera. I'm sorry, Google has one camera on the back. It looks like they're gonna put two on the front, probably for some facial recognition type of stuff. The new phones, the Pixel 3 and 3X, are gonna have one camera, and it's probably still gonna be the best camera. So I don't think adding more and more and more cameras I think it just complicates things. I don't know why LG wants to do that. Do something else, LG.
Well, you want to have the ability, the flexibility with your phone to be able to take any kind of shot. So I can appreciate having the multiple cameras. However, when you do have Google just dominating just the standard shooting mode, but you're still tacking on additional cameras, then you're doing something wrong, right? You need to master that auto
because
mode.
LG's cameras aren't that great. They're okay.
No, they're not.
Yeah,
they're okay.
They're okay,
but they're not next level like Goog's.
Right.
So unless you're doing better than Googs, then you can move on. A great guitar player named Dimebag Daryl, he's passed away. He said, when talking about the difference between a 6-string guitar and a 7-string guitar, he said, "Don't play 7 if you can't play 6." And
makes sense.
That quote stuck with me throughout my career as a guitarist. And why are you doing more if you just can't master the simple one, the single one? So thank you, Dimebag, for that quote. I could actually use it in the Droid Life Show. That is awesome.
Look at that in the chat. Somebody did super chat. Sergey Wayne Fellows with the $2 super chat. Yeah, I wish we had like a little ding or notification or something. Appreciate that.
I got a whole bunch of toys.
That's our first one. Sergey, we appreciate that. That's amazing.
Thank you, Sergey.
Yeah, for those who don't know what Super Chat is, and we're not saying like everyone please donate to Super Chat, but Super Chat is this thing where if you do what Sergey just did and you donate a couple bucks to the chat, it highlights your name and all that stuff. That's amazing. Thank you so much.
I got a button.
That was easy.
Yeah.
It works. Anyways, thanks a lot. Thanks for the support on that. I don't know what we were talking about now. We were just talking about guitars and cameras. So, if LG does that, it's fine. Obviously, we've complained about how LG has other issues, not necessarily adding more cameras. The V's, the stuff and thing line, and now we're just getting More stuff.
That's true.
More things.
I used to not understand the V line, but now the V30, like I love the V30. So, I mean,
Except
I'm
now it
forward to
makes
the
even
V40
less
still.
sense. Like the G7 is almost a V phone, right? They put like it's got the quad DAC, it's got all this stuff. So there's not, and it even looks kind of like the V phone, other except it has a notch. So I don't know how they differentiate between those two now. It's kind of weird.
That's going to be, well, what's interesting, they say that this is going to have a notch. It's going to be a more kind of upscale G7. So, I mean, the
What does that
G7's
mean?
already
Yeah.
kind of upscale, like it's glass
Right.
and metal and
It's
all
got
that.
all
Like,
this
is that
stuff.
is that supposed to be a cheap phone? Because it's
So the V
certainly
will have
not.
AMOLED probably, like the V30.
Oh God, I hope so. Please, no more LCD, LG. Make it
I'm not
stop.
a big LCD fan either. That HTC U12 Plus I use had LCD and I did not like it at all.
It's
So
rough,
used to
man.
AMOLEDs,
But
yeah.
yeah, V40, 845 processor, you quad DAC, dedicated Google Assistant button. I mean,
Oh, that's right.
I'm sure
Google
it'll be
Assistant
great. If
button.
you're a V series fan, this could be the one. I don't know.
All right, moving out of there into Google Home stuff, Google Assistant stuff. Google Home possibly got its best feature in a really long time this week. It got, or was this last week? Either way, it got continued conversation. I don't know if you've utilized this at all yet. It is fantastic. So continued conversation, for those who don't know what that is, it was announced at I/O, and you fire up your Google Home and then you tell it a command, and then it actually sits there listening to you for a little bit more in case you have follow-up commands or want to keep going and suggest other things or have it do other stuff, rather than having to say, hey, GOGL, like over and over, or OKGO, right? Instead of having to say that, and then it does a command, and then you say the keyword, a hot word again to fire it up, and then you're yelling at it because it never hears you, and you're yelling. You don't have to do that anymore. Now you just say it once, the hot word, it fires it up, say, turn on my lights in this room, and then it keeps listening, and then you say, set a timer, and then it keeps listening, and then you say, what's the weather like, and it keeps listening, and you can keep going on and on and on. And if you want to quit it, then you just say cancel or thank you. And now, you know how like when you, I don't know if you did this, but when I first had Google Homes, I always said, like, when it did something, I would be like, thank you, Google, and it never responded to you. Well, now you say that to cancel it, and it actually says like, just doing my job and things like that. So it's kind of added to that.
I would have used it, but of course Google Home was down this week, so for like 2 hours, so I wasn't able to try it. But I'm gonna get
That's
into
true, it did
it.
go down this week.
Yeah, and in the chat, there's like something I really want to acknowledge, but apparently I'm not supposed to acknowledge it. So maybe I've said enough. I don't know. I'll give them the button though.
Everyone can see it
was
though,
easy.
can't they? I mean, can't everyone
Yeah.
see that?
I think so. Thank you, Derek. I'm sorry for acknowledging it.
Thank you, person in the chat who just did what we were talking about earlier with Super Chat, who doesn't want to be acknowledged. That's too funny. So anyway, continue conversation. I don't know if people have been using it or not. It's fantastic. Like the other day I was like, so often, like when we go get my son ready for bed, we go into our bedroom and kind of get him ready there before he goes to his bed, but we use some lights. And so I say like, Google, turn on the bedroom lights. And then we've often dimmed them at some point. So then I used to have to say, turn on the bedroom lights and set them to 70% or fire them back up and change the percentage. Or now, like, I can just do 2 commands in a row and even set some music too, like sleepy music to make the child go to sleep. So, anyways, it's very cool. And it's rolling out now, although you do have to turn it on, I believe. So you have to go into Google Assistant settings, preferences, or go into your home app and go into settings, preferences, and you'll see a continued conversation option. You just toggle that bad boy on.
Whoop, whoop.
Yep. All right. So in Verizon news this week, this actually seems like a really good deal. And I don't say that often about Verizon, but they're doing a prepaid promo right now for a limited time where they're doubling data of their prepaid data plans. And if you sign up for them, you get to keep that as long as, like, I think that plan still exists. I'm sure they'll try to run you off of it at some point because that's how Verizon works. But right now they're doing double data. So their $60 plan, which is normally 10 gigabytes of data each month, is now 20 gigabytes. So if you do the $60 plan, and that's unlimited, and I believe you can use that data in hotspot too. Either way, $60, 20 gigs. That's pretty good. And I think after 20 gigs, they throttle you down to like 2G speeds or something. It's technically unlimited or something stupid like that. Either way, though, $60, 20 gig. Their $50 plan now is at 14 gig, and the $40 plan's at 6 gig, and then the $30 plan jumps up to 1 gig. And again, I don't know how long these are going for. They said it's a limited time deal, but if you sign up, you get to kind of keep it for, I don't want to say forever, because nothing with Verizon is forever, but that seems like a pretty good deal. I mean, if you're a big data user, 20 gig, and I don't think they're prepaid throttle speed or anything like that. I think they're just normal LTE speeds.
Yeah, don't ever buy life insurance from Verizon, because nothing is forever from that.
Seriously. I'm trying to figure out if like the speed is full. I believe it's full speed data.
It's gotta be.
I know, but it's Verizon, so you just never know. But I don't see anything anywhere that says like, hey, it's limited to eight down or whatever like AT&T does with Cricket and stuff like that. Either way, if you want to get on Verizon prepaid, the only thing is you kind of need to bring your own device, or you have to buy something outright. You don't typically get to do device payment plans, I don't think, with prepaid. So keep that in mind. But like the Pixel phones obviously work. Unlocked Galaxy phones work. The Moto Z3 Play, this bad boy works on Verizon. So there's a lot of phones that work on Verizon now. The Essential phone. Not that I would tell anyone to buy that at this point. It does work on
No,
Verizon.
we actually receive emails quite a bit asking us if like, Essential phone versus this phone. And typically we always go with the other phone because it's hard to recommend the Essential phone at this point.
It's so sad too, because we talked so much about how much there's pieces of the Essential phone we really like and want to use it, but yeah, you can't. I would not tell anyone to use that damn thing. Do not buy one. And it's almost a year old at this point, and I know they said they're going to update the software for a while, but they're not making another phone as far as we know for now, so just ignore.
Don't do it.
Yeah. All right, in other carrier unlimited news, AT&T also announced some new plans, 2 new unlimited plans. They are called Unlimited and More and Unlimited and More Premium.
Oh, God.
They are, for the most part, the same. Yeah, their names are really bad, too, just like Verizon's. They're mostly the same as their previous unlimited plans, which I cannot remember the name of. They start at $70 and then $80 for premium. But what we really care about is they also announced this new TV streaming service. So they have DirecTV now, but this is like their own. This is like the AT&T streaming service. It costs $15 per month, and you get 30 plus channels, and it's called AT&T Watch TV. Like, see, the name's stupid again there. I'm going to watch TV. Oh, okay. That's really clever, AT&T. $15 a month is a pretty good deal, though. You don't have to be an AT&T subscriber. Like, if you just want to sign up for this thing, you can do it now. You just go to, I think it's AT&TWatchTV.com or something like that. And you can sign up and get these 30 channels. There's no ESPN. So if you're a sports guy, no ESPN. I don't believe there's any local channels either. But there's like AMC, A&E, Animal Planet, HGTV, Food Network.
Comedy
so like
Central.
YouTube TV doesn't even have Food Network, HGTV.
Oh, damn it. I might have to. There's the, if someone in the chat could help me out, or maybe there's another service through someone else where you can get like specifically those channels. The Discovery, or is it Discovery? Yeah, the Discovery who owns HGTV, but there's someone else, and it's like $10 a month, I think, where you can access those channels. Either way, I can't remember the name, but because I absolutely love HGTV, and it's funny, like as soon as you kind of like get older, you start loving like redecorating shows and like remodeling shows. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me, or flipping houses and all this stuff, but yeah. That and Comedy Central alone might be worth it for me at $15 a month. I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, it actually seems like a pretty good deal. The app's already out on Android. There's no Android TV app, but there is an Android app that I'm assuming has casting. But it's on iOS, Apple TV, Fire TV devices. So you shouldn't have any issues playing it. And yeah, it launched either yesterday, last night, or today. $15 per month. Pretty good deal. Oh, and then if you get one of those unlimited plans I just mentioned, the TV streaming service is just included. So it's just a part of the service.
I know it's called Philo. Philo.
Yes,
And Philo will get you 40 channels for $16 a month, and it's all the channels that are included with Watch TV from AT&T. It's got the Nick, the MTV, the A&E, HGTV, all that good stuff. So Comedy Central, it's the same exact package, but with more channels and for $1 more a month.
Still no ESPNs though for sports folk.
No, this is like it's everything that's not included in those other packages.
Yeah,
like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, the splitting of all of the channel packages group thing kind of sucks.
I hate it, man. Like, how about you just give me the choice, right? Like, say there's every channel ever, and I can just add each one that I want, and I pay per month, right? Some channels can cost more than others because they got to pay to license it or whatever from Viacom and whoever. Just give me that chance. Give me that chance. That'd be so awesome. Yeah. Real quick, Dan Perkins in the chat says Android TV is pretty much dead.
What? No.
Wrong.
No.
That is fake news. Dan Perkins, get out of here. Fake news.
Definitely not dead. They're actually making a pretty big push for it right now. Just pushed out Android Oreo to Shield, but other companies are releasing devices now with Oreo. Like, I'm reviewing a Hisense TV that has Android Oreo already on it, loaded. It's one of the first devices. There's that. There's other TVs coming out that are going to have it preloaded. The Xiaomi Mi Box, I believe, just got it. It's not dead. It's just taking a while because instead of creating like standalone little hardware units, they're embedding it within as many TVs as they can. That's what Google's kind of trying to do. And there's going to be a whole bunch, I think, over this year. So, yeah, Dan, we disagree with you.
I disagree. But that's okay. Still love you, Dan.
Yep. All right, so that's AT&T Verizon news. And related Verizon news, Verizon's really awesome streaming whatever video service Go90 is finally shutting down.
On July 31st, the doors will be shuttered. Yeah.
I think I opened Go90 twice. Once to just see what it was, and then the second time was when Team USA Soccer lost to Trinidad and Tobago, which eliminated them from the World Cup because it was streaming on like a free channel on Go90 that I didn't have on the streaming TV service. So that was the only time I used it, and I think I cast it to my TV, and the picture was great, but that's like the only memory I have of Go90 is one just to open it, and the other is like the US just completely falling on its face and not qualifying for the World Cup. So yeah, Go90 needs to die.
Oh, maybe it's Go90's fault.
It is.
Team USA is awful.
Yeah, they were awful. They didn't deserve to be there anyway. But so Go90 is it's finally dead.
Yeah, Dean in the chat says he never used it. He thought it was bloatware. It's because you're absolutely right. It was bloatware.
It pretty much was bloatware, yes.
Yeah. So you were right.
It was an interesting product because Verizon talked about it for, I want to say like 2 years. They said, we've got this new video service coming. We got this video service. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be amazing. And I think I always kind of went, what do you mean it's going to be amazing? Is it going to be YouTube? Like, what are you trying to launch? And they just thought they had this I don't know whose idea it was that decided to invest, because they invested a ton into Go90. And then they launched it. And I think we all just kind of went, this is the service that you launched that you've been talking about for 2 years that you thought was going to like make you loads of cash and all this stuff. Like, this is it? Like, which marketing person should be fired right now because of that? I don't know. Anyway, it's gone. Well, it'll be gone July 31st. Rest in peace, little guy. All right. Final topic before trivia. A couple weeks ago, we talked about the BlackBerry Key 2, and I've been pretty harsh about the BlackBerry Key 2 because I think physical keyboard phones are stupid and a waste of time. But so I ran a poll because I just like talking lots of trash about the BlackBerry Key 2 and its physical, everything garbage about it. Like the Key 1 that still doesn't have nougat, by the way, I don't think. We ran a poll to see if anyone was interested in physical keyboards. I kind of kept it pretty generic. I didn't just say the Key 2. I just said physical keyboards. And 57% of our readers said no. And 43% said, yes, I may be interested in a physical keyboard. That's shocking to me. Is that shocking to you? Yeah, you people are weird. Like, weird as hell. I thought it was going to be like 80-20. I thought it was going to be like 8. I thought maybe even 90-10. I thought it was going to be like, no, I do not. Anyways, apparently not quite half, but like 40%, a little over 40% of our readers are actually interested in a physical keyboard.
People are still living in like the Droid 4 days, and the OG, like they're attached to physical keyboards. And I don't know why. I think virtual keyboards are completely usable, obviously. Like, everyone in the world uses one now. I think it's totally okay that we ditch physical keyboards. Not for my desk. Of course, I need my mechanical keys and all that. But for a phone, come on, dude. We got to slim it down.
It's a tool though, Tim. Sometimes your phone is just a tool. And a tool means physical keyboard helps. No, it doesn't. Get out of here, people.
Yeah, we don't agree with that either.
Oh, Dean in the chat said, I think it has nougat, no Oreo. That actually might be it. It doesn't have Oreo yet. And Oreo's been out for almost a year. I think they were okay with security updates, though, so I'll give them that. But I mean, there's people in the chat that are like, no, there's something kind of cool about a keyboard.
I reviewed the key one. How did that thing only have nougat?
Well, I think you reviewed it probably well before it was supposed to get Oreo, but I think they just started rolling out Oreo to the Canada version. Like the unlocked from the US, I don't think has Oreo, and it's probably, who knows how much longer it'll be. Like, that's embarrassing. It's a pretty clean version of Android, and it's like your one phone. Like, how do you not update your one single phone?
Yeah, all I did was a video review, and there's no way I'm watching that to find out if it has nougat.
Yeah. Either way, though, I was surprised. I thought that would have been much different, but there's some people hanging around that still want a little keyboard action.
Good for them, I suppose. I mean, keep waiting. You never know. Maybe instead of notches, we're back to physical keyboards.
Yeah, I just am not one of them. Somebody mentioned in the chat earlier that T-Mobile is finally rolling out RCS Universal Profile. So we haven't written that up yet, but yes, they what is his name? Neville Ray, their CTO, I believe. He on Twitter was like, yeah, we're rolling out RCS Universal Profile. It's starting with the Galaxy S7 and Galaxy S7 Edge. So phones that are 2 years old are the first to get Universal Profile RCS. So it's a big deal because you can talk to Sprint people using RCS. And I think that's about it, because Verizon still hasn't, AT&T still hasn't, and those two have committed to it, but they've given zero timeline. So if you have a Galaxy S7 or S7 Edge, you can RCS it up with some homies at Sprint. Otherwise, that's it. I don't get why the Galaxy S8 and S9. They're obviously going to start adding phones to it. It'll be this thing we'll talk about. We'll let you know every time new phones are added to their list. But yeah, for right now, they finally activated it only for the S7 and S7 Edge. Those phones are 2 years old.
Womp womp.
It's kind of weird.
So weird.
All right, trivia. Is it time?
It is time. I don't know if you're doing the trivia dance.
I'm doing the trivia dance.
You're on a delay.
Yeah, I am on a delay for you. Trivia dance. All right. So trivia, we are going to kick it off. We do this at the end of every show. As we mentioned earlier, the folks at Meter, the smart meat thermometer that Tim actually loves. We're not just trying to like sell this because they're the sponsor. Like, Tim uses this thing. Like, seriously, didn't like on Memorial Day weekend you cooked like a tomahawk? Didn't you use that in it?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
During the whole thing. And I've never cooked a piece of meat like that. That thing was like as big as my head.
Huge. Yeah.
It was massive. It was, like the size of my arm basically. Yeah. And the ribeye itself was as big as my head, and the bone sticking out and all that. It was gorgeous cut of meat, and slapped it on there, gave it some good grill marks, and then I stuck in Meter. And I just put it on the indirect heat of the coals and let it go for like 35 minutes. I watched the temperature to get that perfect medium rare on my phone because it's Bluetooth operated, and it was totally legit. It was like, you and me we've gone to steakhouses. We've had good meat. This was probably the best steak I've ever had in my life. It was awesome. So good. And all thanks to Meter, because I would have butchered the hell out of it if it wasn't. So
yeah, because that's a tough cut to cook for sure.
It's a big one.
So anyway, Meter, they sponsored. We've got 5 meters to give away. These are normally $70 smart meat thermometers. Android app, all that stuff. They tell you the temperature of your meat, whatever you're cooking. So anyways, big shout out again to Meter for supplying those. It's trivia time. So for those who are new to trivia, we have 5 questions. We will give we'll give prizes to 5 winners. You can't win more than once. So if you answer a second question right, you still only win once. How it works is though, we put a question up on the screen and shout it out, and in the chat, first person to answer correctly wins. And we go with what's on our screen. So if your screen looks different, sorry, whatever we see on our screen is who wins. We try to keep this about as simple as possible. And that's pretty much it. We ask a question. First person in the chat to answer wins. After the show, you'll work with Tim to organize prizes.
Work with me. And
Tim's the meter man.
I will be handling shipping personally. And this is a US only contest. We cannot support international shipping. I am sorry. We're still working with other sponsors to try and get some international contests going. So don't worry. We're thinking about everyone here. So
we are.
All
right. Are you ready? Is everyone ready?
I'm ready. Yeah. Are you and me queued up in the chat properly? Is Theo Jones with come on?
Yep.
The last comment. All right. Well, let's get it on. Let's go start off with question number 1, please.
Question number 1 up now.
What year did Verizon launch its Go90 video service? Again, what year did Verizon launch its Go90 video service? We just talked about it. And I see Bertzer with the correct answer of 2015.
I see Bertzer as well. Bertzer 2015.
Fantastic. Congratulations, Bertzer. Correct answer of 2015 to question number 1. And again, I will throw in my email address at the end of the trivia, so make sure you email me, and we'll get your prizes sorted out and all that. And but until then, let's go ahead and start off with question number 2.
Question number 2 up now.
What was the name of Google's popular messaging service that preceded Hangouts? Again, what was the name of Google's popular messaging service that preceded Hangouts? And there are kind of 2 answers for this one, but I will accept both. I'm seeing Nightfly with the correct answer of Talk, aka Google Talk.
Yep, got
right,
Nightfly with Talk.
Google Chat. Fantastic, Nightfly.
Google Talk,
Congratulations.
Google Chat. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have accepted all that. Congratulations.
G-Chat, yeah,
you just
any
won
of
yourself
those.
a sweet meter smart meat thermometer. I love giving out prizes, man. Especially prizes that I love.
Yeah.
Actually, I've loved all the prizes we've given out, but there's something about meter that's really got me stoked. Like once people get this thing in their life,
I need to probably buy a meter. So I'm
gonna don't even worry about it. Like whenever your birthday's coming, you just let me know. I'm gonna gift you a meter.
That's
smart
awesome.
meter.
That's awesome.
Until then, let's go ahead and go with question number 3, please.
All right, question number 3 up now.
Samsung only made one Droid branded phone, launched in 2011. What was it called? Samsung only made one Droid branded phone, launched in 2011. What was it called? I'm seeing Damien. With the correct answer of the Charge. That is correct. The Droid Charge from 2011.
Charge.
Ooh, that phone just makes me cringe.
It was so plasticky. I'm pretty sure it was the first foldable Samsung phone, I think. Actually, we took the back off of it and you could fold the back. Like it was such a thin piece of plastic, you just fold it in half. The Droid Charge.
That was a bad phone, Samsung. Bad phone.
Damien with the win there.
Damien, congratulations. You won yourself a super sweet meter smart thermometer. That's what you got. All right, let's go with question number 4, please.
All right, question number 4 up now.
Here's a toughie. What was the Oppo phone that launched with Cyanogenmod? Again, what was the Oppo phone that launched with Cyanogenmod? So back in the day, Oppo partnered with Cyanogenmod to release this phone. And Ben Jacobs in the chat with the correct answer of Oppo N1. You know, I'll be completely honest. I didn't think anyone was going to get this. I thought it was too hard. But no, the Oppo N1.
That's a tricky one. Yeah, it was giant. I think it had a 6-inch display or something, which was obviously huge at the time, with big old bezels. But it had this camera that twisted forward to back. Like the rear camera was the selfie camera. You just had to flip it over. And it had CyanogenMod, yeah. It was one of their first phones, I think.
Oppo N1, man. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Ben Jacobs, congratulations. You
Good
won
job.
yourself a sweet meter smart meat thermometer.
Great job, Ben.
Good job, Ben.
God, the Oppo N1. I think I unboxed it and then never
You've got it
touched it
somewhere.
again. I do have it somewhere in a box, and it came with all these accessories and stuff, like a special case. I think it was kind of fancy.
That was right around the time when Cyanogen said they were going to, I believe it was like, shoot Google in the head or something like that.
I think it was shortly after that. I think they were gonna take Google out in the
Job
Android world.
Cyanogen, where are they at now?
So weird.
Man. It's too bad. All right, let's finish it off with question number 5, please.
Question number 5 up now.
This could be another toughie. Which Galaxy Note device was the first to feature a metal frame? Which Galaxy Note device was the first to feature a metal frame? I'm seeing Joel Hardman with the correct answer of the Galaxy Note 4.
It was number 4. Yep.
Fantastic.
The Note 3, they had metallic, like cheesy
Plastic,
border, and then it had the faux, like plastic back that was supposed to be leather and stitching. And then the 4, they actually went metal frame. And it was just after there was like that small, weird Samsung phone. It was like a tiny little guy. It wasn't a Galaxy S. It was like the Galaxy Alpha, I think was what it was called. That was like their first metal frame. And then the Note 4 dropped right after that and had a metal. And it was painted too. Like the white one had kind of like a white paint on the metal and stuff.
Yeah,
it was a nice phone.
The Note 3 was super cringy.
The Note 3
I think
was
it's all
super
been
cringy.
downhill after the Note 2, honestly. Note 2 was like the best phone ever.
Yeah, Note 4. All right, so who won that?
That was Joel
Okay.
Hardman.
All right.
I do believe.
Congrats, Joel.
Congratulations to all of our winners. So what's going to happen? This is a very important part. Don't shut the stream down. I'm going to put my email address in the chat. At which point you will take that email address, send me an email, and say, "Hey, I'm the winner." I will confirm all of your identities, and then I will get your Meter Smart Meat Thermometer shipped out to you. Now, also, there's 2 parts to this. If you did not win a Meter Smart Meat Thermometer, don't feel bad for yourself. I've already talked about how awesome it is. Just go out and buy one yourself. You can go to meter.com. They're only $69. If you do barbecue a lot of meats and stuff, I think it's totally worth it. So check it out, meter.com. $69. That's not bad. Kellen said he was going to buy one, but I'm not going to let him. I'm going to buy you one myself.
All right.
Birthday present.
Appreciate that.
Later.
All right, so yeah, Tim, I don't know if he actually dropped his email in the chat, but he's going to right now.
I'm doing so right now.
So if you did win, email chat or email Tim right now. He'll
chat.
figure that out. Yeah.
There we go.
Otherwise, I think that's pretty much it. It's kind of a lengthy show. Sorry about the delay. We had to quick switch up at the end, but I think it worked out. Although Tim can't see me, so.
No, I can't. It's totally fine. Hearing you is totally fine because if I could see you, I could see that you may have to take a movement or something.
This is true. This is true. You probably don't want to look at me having to run to the toilet. All right, cool. Thanks again, Sergey, for the super chat, and also the other guy who did not want to be acknowledged. Thanks for the super chat as well. Really appreciate that support.
That was easy.
4th of July next week, middle of the week. We will be off Wednesday for that. Potentially have a show at the end of the week as well. And I think that's about it. You got anything else you want to talk about?
No, I hope everyone has a pleasant and safe weekend. And shout out to everyone who joined us live. And thank you so much. I love it. It's so much fun.
Thanks a lot, guys. We will see you next week with Droid Life. Peace.
Peace.